kicked off the NFL scouting combine. Just a couple little news and notes to come from it. First things first, Teo had his first meeting with the media yesterday at the combine. From everything I read and heard, it went okay. Nothing out of the normal. They asked him some questions, but for the most part, they did okay. And it seems that most of the teams are focusing more football. You know, they're putting up
He's too. Listen, he's not a prototypical NFL linebacker. He's just not. He's undersized. I understand his heart and his will were part of what drove him at Notre Dame. I feel bad for whatever team takes Teo, and not because of the off-the-field stuff, just because I don't think he's going to be very good in the NFL. He's a guy who had next to no sacks, really no pass rushing ability. He had 7 interceptions this year, but
struggled against the run. Drastically in the national championship game.
Yeah, he's not going to. I mean, he got tore up in the national championship game. He got tore up. He couldn't.
The whole Notre Dame defense got torn up. But when a guy like him has, you're one of the first defensive players people are considering for the Heisman, and God knows how, since Charles Woodson. And you're not even making basic tackles in the biggest game. I don't care who you're playing. I understand how good Lacey is. I understand how good the Alabama run offense was. I understand that. But if you're Heisman consideration, you're considered that good, then you need to be making at least the basic plays. I mean, I watched him twice off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, I have the images right there. Twice of him having a blatant one-on-one opportunity to make a tackle and whiffing. And you shouldn't do that.
No. I mean, and you look at it, he played that way in college against college kids. Now, granted, 3 of Alabama's offensive linemen are going to the NFL this year.
And
but you're going to have to play 5 NFL offensive linemen next year.
Yeah, and the running back that dookied all over him will also be in the NFL next year.
He went up against NFL talent. You saw what he was able to do. Not much. He's undersized. He doesn't have great speed. He's got good speed. Not great. Maybe somebody wants to slim him down a little bit, try him at safety. I don't know. But I don't think he's a middle linebacker in the NFL. And I really don't think he's an edge linebacker in the NFL because he doesn't have any pass rush ability. So some team's going to waste a high-round pick on a kid because he had a lot of notoriety coming out of Notre Dame, a Heisman finalist. Somebody's going to take him high, and somebody's going to be disappointed. That's my opinion on Teo.
I could see where you're coming from with that. I really can. It's funny though because I sit there and I look at this guy, and a lot of people give him credit for his leadership capabilities and that kind of stuff, and yet with everything that happened off the field, it makes it very easy for me to doubt the leadership capabilities, and that to me is one of your big problems. I really look at Teo, and if you can tell me you're a guy that your whole team got behind you and they followed you and all this, and I'm like, oh, dude, like this guy, big fan of this guy. And with everything that's happened since, I mean, you remember me, dude. I was a big Teo guy, and then all this stuff started to come out, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna believe him. No, I'm gonna believe him. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know if I can believe him anymore. I don't know if I can believe him. And now I'm in a spot. I don't believe him. I don't believe any of this stuff. I don't know what the hell the truth is and what isn't the truth at all with this situation.
We all know the truth. Just nobody's gonna say it.
Fine. But either way, My feelings with this kid have changed dramatically. I still think he goes to the Jets in the top 10. I still think that's going to end up happening, which is really sad, but I do.
Listen, the Jets aren't going to take him. They know they've got enough of a media circus already, and I know we always joke about, let's add more pieces to the circus. You know, we need a new bearded lady. We need, a new strong man. We're not.
We need a new guy that can swallow the sword. We need, the flamethrower guy.
Yeah.
They're not good, Eric.
They're not drafting Teo. I'm sorry. They got a lot of other needs, but they're not going to draft Teo.
No, a top 10 pick. I mean, they definitely.
They are trying to get Santonio Holmes to restructure his deal, though. Speaking about the Jets.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of a teammate he really is. But while we're on the combine, Teo does work out today, so. I mean, if he has an amazing workout, maybe we'll mention it tomorrow. But
only other two things that I really saw come out of the combine is the kid Goodwin, wide receiver from Texas, ran a 4.2740, which was 0.4 off of the record, I believe.
0.03 tenths of tying it.
Yeah.
Chris Johnson.
Yeah, Chris Johnson.
4.24.
And then you had an actual offensive lineman out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, ran a 4.7140,
which is a record for offensive linemen. Yeah. Well, on top of that, you had
any man who can run is 300 pounds who can run a 4.740. Man, get some props.
He'll be a blocking tight end. You also had. 3 different guys post times of 4.34. Running back from Auburn, Ontario McCaleb, West Virginia wide receiver Tavon Austin, and Texas A&M wide receiver Ryan Swope. Tavon Austin's an interesting guy. Fast as all hell. He's the same as this Goodwin kid. They're both short as all hell. For football wide receiver standards, these guys are short as all hell, but they are fast as they come. Which really amazing. I feel like the taller guys should be a little fast. You got the longer legs, longer stride. But these little guys are flying. So the question is, do they find roles in the NFL like a Darren Sproles where they're not going to get drafted high, but teams covet the opportunity of maybe getting this guy or one of these guys because of the speed that they bring? Like, as a Giants fan, you talk to me all the time about how you feel like they need a running back. How would you feel about them 3rd, 4th round getting one of these 4.34 running backs?
We got a guy with speed. We got David Wilson. We need a guy who can get some hard, tough yards. We don't have a bruising back. We don't have a Jacobs. We don't have that.
You want the guy to get a yard.
Yeah, I need the guy who's a goal line guy, who I can come in and I know we're scoring when he comes in on the goal line. A guy who could wear down defenses.
I agree. I can't lie to you at all on that one. I do agree. I think you need that right balance. No question about it. Or if you're lucky enough to find the running back that gives you both, then you obviously would take that.
I mean, the Jets are a team that you look at it, and if they really wanted a running back real bad, they could take Lacey. With what do they have, the 9th pick?
Yeah, 9th.
He could go, he's the number 1 running back on the board. And they don't have Sean Green. He's, I think, a restricted free agent, yeah.
Sorry. My apologies.
So if they can go ahead and draft a guy, maybe they just decide to cut Sean Green loose.
There's a chance. I will say, though, I don't think they take a running back with the 9th pick. I think they're going to go either offensive line or defensive pass rusher. And speaking of defensive pass rushers, before we wrap up talking about the combine, arguably the top prospect in this draft, many consider the number 1 player in the draft, Star Lotulelei, Lotulelei. I don't know who this guy is. I heard of him.
It's out of Utah.
Out of Utah, defensive tackle. Was diagnosed with a heart problem. Apparently his heart is only working at about half of the capacity it's supposed to work at for an average person of his size. So I feel for this kid. What I'm curious is how much this affects his draft stock. Our team's going to be like, well, talent-wise, he's everything we need, but there's a good chance that we might could lose him. Like, I mean, this is one of those conditions where he could literally go on the field in the middle of a game.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's why
what this
you
condition can do.
Yeah, but that's why you would almost advise him. You might want to just, either finish school. Or if you finish school, find something else. It's not worth dying over. I can tell you that. No game is worth dying over. And if you have that, chance where, you're already, it's not like, listen, I know anybody can step off a curb and get hit by a bus, but I'm just saying when you already have that risk, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like being diagnosed with lung cancer and still smoking cigarettes.
Well, there's a difference between stepping off the curb and getting hit by a bus and already being off the curb and just waiting for the bus to hit you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big difference.
Big difference. So that to me is the difference.
Now there are.
And I actually thought it was interesting that you said people considered him the number one guy, because I almost thought you were going in a different direction with that and going to say that the kid Jarvis Jones, linebacker out of Georgia, who Mel Kiper actually has on his big board as number one overall.
Yeah.
He didn't practice at the combine this weekend, so.
Yeah, he's focusing on his pro day. That's actually, I mean, I brought this kid up, and I mean, he's ranked the number one overall player by Scouts Inc. He's a top 5 draft prospect according to Mel Kiper and Todd McShay.